Welcome to FitHer Forward, where strong women share real stories, expert insight, and bold truths about health, fitness, and living fully, because your journey matters. Now, let's get into it today. We welcome Meghan Monthie. You are focused on women and women's health, family health, and I think it's super interesting. Your tagline is primary care for the woman holding everyone else together. So tell us what that means.
Yeah, definitely. So I am a family doctor, obviously. I'm also a wife to Phil. I'm a mother to two crazy young boys. But I'm also an endurance athlete, a small business owner, all of these different things. So as a woman who's trying to balance everything, I love being able to support women who are also trying to balance everything. I think women today are trying to keep a lot of balls up in the air. A lot of times they're managing really busy careers, but they're also trying to coordinate care for their parents if they're in and out of the hospital, trying to remind their spouse to go pick up their medication refill, packing lunches for the kids, trying to manage a household all at the same time. And so my passion in my practice as a family doctor is really to support those women and to help make providing healthcare to them not another thing on their to-do list, to make it as simple as possible and to care for the whole family so that caring for themselves, which has traditionally kind of fallen to the bottom of the to-do list, is a little bit easier for them.
So you have a very different model in how you practice. Did you start off kind of in traditional medicine?
I did. So I did all of my education and training in the area at Albany Med. And then after I graduated from residency, I kind of followed the traditional path of going to an outpatient family medicine office with one of the bigger corporations in the area. And I don't know if you go to the doctor often, but it can be a little bit of a dehumanizing experience. A lot of times, the traditional system, patients have become really cogs in the wheel of the healthcare system. And as a young doctor who had lots of hopes and aspirations about the ways that I wanted to care for patients and show up for patients and support women and families in particular, I found that really frustrating, and I grew really disenchanted with that volume-based system. And so last fall, in fall of 2025, I decided to go out on my own and start my own practice. And it is a direct primary care practice. I don't know if that's something that you've heard of before.
I think you need to explain it because I don't think most people will know.
Yeah. So it is a model of healthcare where patients pay their doctor an affordable, predictable monthly membership rate, and that gives them direct access to me as their doctor. And so it really cuts out the middlemen. It cuts out the big corporations. It cuts out the insurance companies as well, so that we can really focus on the patient-doctor relationship rather than all of the other things in between. And so it's been a really awesome career change for me.
It's so interesting to me because I was down at a USA Track and Field annual conference, and I think it has to have been like 6 or 7 years ago now. And I was talking to some women, and they were from Utah, and they were talking about physical therapy, massage, and in having this membership concept of where you could join in, and if you joined in at one level, you got access to the gym and massage, and if you joined in another level, you got more, and at the very highest level, you got physical therapy. And what they said happened was people went before they absolutely had to, and so their recovery was faster. And I was like, that is brilliant. So that's kind of what you're doing, because you're making it easier for people to have access to care.
Absolutely.
And access to you specifically.
Yeah. And I think just because of the way our healthcare system is, because we're so strapped for time, there's not enough primary care doctors, there's not enough access to care. A lot of times what healthcare has become in the traditional system is that it's very reactive.
Yes.
It's only when you have a problem. It's only when something is hurting. It's only when, things have gotten so bad that you finally muster up the courage to call the doctor's office, to wait on hold for half an hour to get that appointment, that we really seek care.
Right.
And so my practice model is really a pushback to what has become the status quo in our broken healthcare system. I think when you make a statement to yourself that you're going to invest in your health and invest in a relationship with your doctor that's going to be really long lasting, it really just takes down the barriers to be able to seek care when you need it, but also help prevent care and to keep you well when you are feeling good.
Well, and I think it's like we've been talking with other guests at times about like this kind of prehab, like getting ahead of things. And it seems to me that your model is very much oriented in that direction. Like instead of waiting, because I think you're right, like people just like, I'm never going to get in. I literally have had issues where I am too healthy. So because I haven't gone often enough, like then they're like, oh, well, you can't come.
Yeah.
Like you have to sign up with us like you're a new patient. Like what? Just because I'm healthy, right? So it like penalizes you because you're healthy, but it's not to say, and they're probably during that time frame, I should have gone in, but I didn't because I figured out, I can figure my way around this. Whereas if I'd had a practice where it was like, oh, well, I'm paying for this in a membership, I'm going to just call you and find out. Like, let me just ask the question, and maybe start towards something better. Do you have a lot of families? Because you do have that model where you'll take care of the kids as well.
I do. And the trend has been, a lot of times women are very attracted to my model because I focus on them and they realize what high quality care they get, how easy it is to call up the doctor for anything big or small, that they decide to sign up their husband and then they bring their kids in and everything. And I think it's a really beautiful thing in family medicine because a lot of times things that are going on with families affect everybody's health. So even as something as simple as like a cold that's going around in the family, you don't have to go to the dad's doctor, the mom's doctor, the grandma's doctor, the kid's doctor and explain your story 5 different times. You can just go see your one doctor who knows the entire family, and it can just be a one-stop shop to really support women, and so that you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
I also think it's super interesting too from the standpoint of working with multiple generations, you see something in a child. Like I'll give you the example. My son went through physical therapy when he was 2 because he never crawled. He scooted on his butt, lodged his sacrum into his pelvis. So he had to go through physical therapy. He hated massage. Now he loves massage. But as a result, I learned about lax ligaments. And I was like, oh, I have that. If this happens to you, does that, like you would automatically be able to see things like that. Or, or if you're treating mom and you notice that going through the pregnancy, something happens to her, like you could be like, oh, okay, let's pay attention to that with the kids, just because you would see that, which I think is very, very unique, which doesn't happen, right? Because usually you have a pediatrician who treats the kids, and then a different doctor treats the parents, and somebody else has treated the grandparents. So you don't kind of have that family history going through.
No, and it's really important to take into consideration, like in the examples that you talked about, I think like on very serious levels as well, being able to help risk stratify patients for cardiovascular disease and breast cancer and all of these different things. There are certain tests or certain recommendations I might make for patients if I know about their family history, and we don't always get that in siloed healthcare.
Right. Well, because you check a box of like, oh yes, this grandparent had this and this. But you never have a conversation about it. Like, well, what did it mean and how was it resolved, or, anything like that. So, and I think a lot of people don't realize what's genetic and what's not. Right. So there's a lot of things where I wonder if people would it would just benefit them in being able to understand that this might happen to your child or it might not.
Right. Yeah. No, it all is a part of the fun puzzle that we put together with healthcare. And I always tell my patients, you don't choose your parents. You get your set of parents. You inherit, a certain set of traits from them, probably good things and probably things that you don't always love. But there's always things that you can do that you have within your control with your own lifestyle measures. That's another thing I really love to talk with families about is, how their diet, their exercise, their sleep, their stress management, all of those different things play a big role. And I think this practice model really allows me just to go deeper with families and to really delve into that rather than having these superficial kind of cursory conversations.
Well, and I also think a lot of times when you have a conversation and you go in, I remember, going to the pediatrician and, the doctor would ask the kids, do you have fruits? Do you have vegetables? And I find working with high school kids, they know what you should eat. It's just not always available at home.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's kind of cool if you're working with the mom and the kids, you can be reinforcing with mom, it is kind of important to have fruits and vegetables at every meal. And, and whereas the kids are hearing that in school, but again, if they don't have control over it, it makes it hard for them.
Definitely, definitely. And then we can like goal set as a family too and come up with specific goals. They always say like, if you're a smoker, it's very challenging to quit smoking on your own if your spouse is still smoking.
Right.
And it kind of goes both ways, even with healthy habits too. If you can get
Yeah.
buy-in from everybody in the family and everyone's on the same page, I think it just really sets you up for more success.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think that's super cool. And you do deal a lot with women.
Mhm.
So a lot of different, women's issues. What are things that, I mean, again, and looking at like from the athletic standpoint, things that you see in like the puberty time frame that like maybe people should know more about. And again, having more holistic approach, because you can spend more time with people. You're not on I got to have this person out of here in 15 minutes.
Right.
So what are the things that you see that where you feel like you can make a big difference in those kind of different, I'm thinking of women's stages, like, maybe it's puberty or it's during pregnancy or it's,
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I think during puberty, so I was a runner growing up. I ran in high school. I walked onto the cross country team at Siena. And so it was a very common conversation to have about periods and not having periods. And nobody really talked about it then. There was maybe some conversation about like you should be on birth control to try to fix this, but never really a deeper interest in trying to figure out why that was happening. I know my pediatrician growing up in Maryland, she was fabulous, but I don't think she ever asked me about what was going on with my periods. And so I think particularly for adolescent runners, I think, and other athletes, it's really important to ask the questions and be present and to create a space where, they feel comfortable bringing those concerns to the table, but also having that curiosity to inquire about that. And, I think some doctors might go the route of trying to medicalize it and, go on birth control, this will fix everything. I think that my practice model and having more time with my patients and the ability to delve a little bit deeper, we just have the bandwidth to be able to talk more about like what is really causing all of this, what is the root cause of the lack of periods. And so I'm able to talk with families about, training levels, what are we doing in terms of recovery nutrition? What are we doing in terms of, sleep optimization? All of those different things that are much harder to counsel patients on because you can't just like write a prescription for it. It's a lot harder to kind of implement those lifestyle measures, but they really make a difference not only on performance in the here and now, but also our bone health long term, our fertility going forward too. And also, like I think it's such a beautiful opportunity to set young girls up to be able to be athletes for life, like the joy of that rather than being injured and not able to participate as time goes on.
100%. Yes. And I think that's something like I joke and say 95% of women have disordered eating. And, then you have the group that has eating disorders. But even just being able to set people up as a family, right? Because if so many women have had issues themselves, like I grew up in the Clean Plate Club, like you had to finish what was on your plate, which led me to really eating plenty and sometimes too much. And I learned with my boys, like, no, this is what you're having for dinner. But if you're full right now, then get up from the table. Like they are just intuitive eaters.
Yeah.
And then they're hungry in an hour later. They still are the same way. Like they literally will leave like the best meal on the plate because they're like, I'm fine, I'm full. I'll come back and get it later. And they do. Right? But I think it's like, sometimes you grow up with things that you need to change.
Totally. Yeah, I was a member of the Clean Plate Club too, and I'm very intentional about the way that I speak with my boys about things now. But I think there's a lot that we know now that we didn't know then either.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think our generations now are trying to sort of unlearn these habits and trying to impress upon the future generations, how to do things right.
And I think now, and especially within women's health, I feel like there's a lot more that we know. And I had my boys late, 36 and 38. And I was in Colorado at the time. So way more like, you're running, keep swimming, like do whatever you want. Yeah. Like, watch your heart rate. Like early on, they were like, just watch your heart rate when you run. Watch how you feel. But don't stop doing anything. Which, probably around that time, if I'd been here or other places, it would have been like, ooh, you better be careful. You better stop. But that's just not because everybody out there was crazy active, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like now there's so much more information that we have. But again, in a typical environment, you don't have the time to get that all across to people.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I love what you mentioned about being active during pregnancy. I'm a big proponent of that. I think it just sets us up for a healthier pregnancy for mom and for baby. It's really great for recovery from pregnancy and labor and delivery too. So I'm a big proponent of exercise and staying active. I think it's a fine line though. I think, it's crazy because, during the Boston Marathon, there were all of these highlights or, headlines about, women at 22 weeks pregnant.
5 months.
Yeah.
I saw her. I was like, oh my God, she's pregnant. And then I looked at her from the back, and of course she didn't look pregnant. So then I was like, okay, she's having a boy. But I mean, like literally, she was 5 months pregnant, running really fast.
Yeah. Like I think it's sub 2:45 marathon. Or
again,
something.
Yeah, I guess like it's by the person, but like I think yes, we still need to be careful.
Definitely, and sometimes it can be hard not to get into the comparison game.
Yes,
and I think every single pregnancy is different. I think every person is different. Like I was a miserable pregnant person, but I was a much more active pregnant person with my first than I was with my second. But I think the key is staying active in the ways that you're able to stay active, and also having a healthy mindset that you may need to modify. And if you're not out there running sub 2:45 marathons,
then you're okay.
You're okay. The PRs and the opportunities for that will always be there in the future. And that's a journey that I'm on right now, trying to get back into the endurance game.
Right. I think it is. It's hard, right? And I always wonder too, like I say this, but I don't know, I haven't found any research that says if you're active during pregnancy, your kids will be more active and have elevated athletic abilities. Maybe that would get people going. I mean, there is a genetic component to your athletic abilities, but I always, I say that to encourage people to be a little bit more active. You're kind of, I mean, you've done triathlons, long distance, all that running, and now you're kind of getting back into it. How challenging is that?
It's been very challenging, and I think like a lot of times it's mindset and discipline and habits. I think when you get out of the habit of doing things, it can be really hard to rebuild that again. And so I'm very frank with my patients. I'm a doctor, but I'm also on my own health and wellness journey too.
Right.
I struggle with, not snoozing the alarm when I should be getting up and running and doing those different things. But I've got a couple of races and things like that on the calendar that I'm trying to aim for. So
good.
Wish me luck with all of that.
Yeah. All right. You got to tell us. You got to share. What are you thinking of?
So my husband has been a really great encouragement for me.
Yeah.
So in the summer of 26, we're planning on doing the UTMB Speed Goat 30K, not the 50K.
Yeah.
But, that's just enough to kind of get me out the door.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, how old are your kids?
So my oldest son, Miles, is 3.5, and then my youngest, Henry, is almost 1.5 years.
Yeah. So that's still, I mean, you're at that stage where they're not at all on their own.
Yeah.
But I always think it's fun because you think the time that you're in with them is always the hardest. And then you realize, I'll have more time when they're older. And then you're driving them everywhere. And then, so it just changes over time.
Yeah.
Which is, again, where I think there's an awesome opportunity to have women focus on themselves and, prioritizing their health.
Yeah.
So to make it easier for them to do that, like with your model is pretty cool.
Totally. And we're always going to be busy. There's always going to be something vying for our attention.
Exactly.
But in order to, make a change and to really become a better version of yourself, you have to show up, whether that is, choosing a healthcare model that fits better into your life, or making the hard choice to get out and go out for a couple of miles in the morning. Every day it's a conscious decision. And unless you, really do something to make a difference and to stand up for yourself and what you deserve, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a brutal truth.
So when you have new patients come in, what is the impetus for them coming to you? So everybody probably has been in some type of a general practice before, right?
Yeah.
So what typically gets them to say, I got to make a change?
Yeah, that is a really good question. It's for a variety of reasons, but I think that the common thread is really just the frustration with the rush and the hustle and bustle of the traditional healthcare system. And so I find it's like death by a thousand cuts in a way. Like it's waiting on hold for 30 minutes. It's getting passed from the nurse and not feeling like your message is getting passed on to your doctor, or always seeing a different doctor or a nurse practitioner or PA every single time you go and having to retell your story. And I don't think that the problem is the people in the system. You know, I think that there are really great doctors and nurses and caring folks in the healthcare system. But the way that insurance reimbursement has worked, we have to see more and more patients in order to make ends meet and to be able to keep our doors open for tomorrow. But what it really cuts corners on is the kind of care that you can get.
Right.
And so I find a lot of times it's not one major thing that brings people to me. It's those frustrations that just keep mounting over and over. It's getting a new PCP for the third time because the office hasn't been able to keep someone that people say, gosh, I'm done with this. I just want a doctor who knows me, who I can trust, has my back, is in my corner, and can really guide me in the best way.
Right. So then do you have partnerships with like specialty people? Because you're not going to have an MRI machine.
No,
right? So you would refer out on certain things.
And I think that's one of the cool things, like being an independent doctor, I can refer folks to anyone. And that's private practices. It's with any of the large groups, depending on who I think would be the best fit for the patient's needs, but also their personality type, and sort of if they need a warm and fuzzy doctor, maybe need a little bit more tough love. So I really don't have any allegiance to, always referring to folks in my own network. And it really just opens up the doors. There's so many more opportunities, I think, also for like telehealth consultations. I'm thinking about in particular, like rheumatology is really challenging to get in with locally. We don't have a lot of great rheumatologists, and the waits can be like 9 to 12 months. And being able to meet with a doctor via telemedicine who can do an exam over the video, can review all of the labs, and can get you in within like a month or so and be able to give you actionable next steps, or to be able to give me a plan so I can help with bridging the care until you can get in with a local rheumatologist. I think telemedicine has really been an awesome way to really meet patients in this system.
I'll tell you my personal experience. I mean, I went to the GP and I was like, I want to look into the hormone therapy. They said I've been doing a lot of research, and I realized my sleep issues. I was starting to have tendon issues. I had never had problems with Achilles. Training for the half Ironman World Championships in New Zealand. I'm like, I am going.
Yeah.
But it was like it hurt every run. I was like, I am getting close to this thing rupturing. So, but they were like, yeah, no. And I had bone density tests, osteopenia.
Yeah.
And you won't do anything about that? Like, come on, people. So I went to one of the telehealth.
Yeah.
And I've had a great experience.
Good.
Because I get the appointment when I need it. And the only thing that is a downside on that, it's a different practitioner most of the times.
Yeah.
So they have the history, but they don't have the conversation that we had.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, it's helpful. But I think on your regular, it's great having somebody who you've seen 26 times and you're like, yes, I know how you are, and I know that you will do this, or
like you don't usually complain a lot. You're saying something is really bothering you. I'm going to take that really seriously because this
exactly
is because I know how you operate.
Right. Yeah. And you also have that opportunity. I also felt like I always got that you run, so you're in really good shape, so everything's fine. Why? No, that's not necessarily true. And then fighting to get ferritin levels tested. Really? Yeah. Come on. Because my iron's always good.
Yeah.
But my ferritin's terrible. Come on, I need to know that. So then I was going outside and getting separate blood tests.
Yeah, and that's the challenging thing. I think a lot of times the impetus is put on patients to be able to advocate for themselves or to find alternative ways to get the care that they need. And I love in this model because people will message me and they'll just text me and be like, hey, I saw this study. What do you think about this?
Yeah.
And I can give them my input right there on the spot. We can come up with a plan, whether that is, that's something of concern, or no, stop spiraling. Don't read that on Dr. Google. Like Dr. Google told you should have died last week. So it's been a really rewarding way of caring for patients and maintaining that continuity with them.
Yeah. Do you see the opportunity for you to bring other people in?
Oh my gosh, I hope
your
so.
Practice and model?
Yeah, I hope so.
I really think, and this is just me, but I think that's the way things are going to go.
Definitely.
Right? Because there is a lot of people that need more, not specialized, but specialized care. Somebody who really cares about them.
Totally.
Right?
And this is a growing model. I think we're going to see more and more practices popping up like this in the area too, because patients are fed up, doctors are fed up too. We really want to change the healthcare system.
And I do think it's happening like within physical therapy. I mean, there's a bunch of practices in the area that are either a combination or have gone, fully private pay.
Right.
And I look at like even just getting testing done, with a sciatica issue. Like I'm paying out of pocket for an MRI because I can get it faster. It's like I need it now. I'm not waiting because you don't want to approve the insurance, which will get approved at some point. But why am I waiting?
And can I tell you something crazy too about health insurance? It's not always cheaper through insurance.
Well, so true. Yeah. And I think that's something else, right? So that's how we can help educate people to say, and then you're spending so much time shopping around. Like, what about as we get older, right? There's this whole thing, like you go into Medicare and all that, and like people worrying about care. Gosh, this model makes a ton of sense.
Oh, it makes a ton of sense.
Right? Because then you get the care when you need it and you're not waiting. Okay, now we have to wait 3 weeks for this test, or we have to wait X amount of time to get coverage approved.
Right. And it really just allows us to be able to do what's right for the patient and not satisfy all these check boxes to go for it. But absolutely, like I have a lot of elderly patients in my model. And I think a lot of times too, the rush with the healthcare is really tough for elderly folks. They feel like they're not heard. Maybe they're hard of hearing and need a little bit of extra time or need me to call a family member or something just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And it's just been really refreshing to be able to care for folks in this way.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of you're one person and you were in an environment where you were in a practice, right? And I think sometimes with a practice, and we talked about it with the chiropractor who was in, and he's got his own practice. And I just know, because we talk about it all the time, who he bounces things off of. Do you have a network of people that you're like, oh, this is interesting. Don't really know where I want to go with this.
Yeah.
That you then turn around and bounce things off of?
Totally. I have lots of folks that I've trained with and gone to school with that we bounce ideas off of each other. There's a local network of direct primary care doctors too. So if it's like a logistical question, like, who is a GYN that can offer self-pay pricing for a patient without health insurance for this procedure and different things too. But really, like, even there's great communities of doctors who are pushing back on this that we can bounce ideas off of. I share office space with pelvic floor PTs, and we're always asking questions of each other, trying to figure out, like, what can we do medically speaking? What can we do pelvic floor PT wise? And really, I think it lends itself to a more collaborative system.
Yes, which I think is awesome, right? Because then you're always learning too.
Yeah. And no one person knows everything. I always say, I feel like, God gave us all our own strengths and weaknesses. And to be able to bring that together is really, I think, the beauty of life.
Yes. I mean, I love the model. I think it makes perfect sense. One thing I did want to just talk about a little bit is just all the changes. Like we're focused on women with the Run for Women and stuff. But it's like all the changes in hormones that women go through over time. Again, like going into that family history of things. Is it a huge help for you and for your patients to kind of have that like mapping of like knowing mom, having talked to her, working with her through her pregnancy, and then working with a daughter who then is going through puberty and maybe having horrible period, whatever it is. That, do you see that as?
Definitely. And the joke is that a lot of times the women going through perimenopause and menopause, their daughters are going through puberty at the same time. So they're kind of dealing with hormones that are going out of whack all under the same household. God help us all. But, I think there's similar hormonal changes. Obviously, there are different ways that we support women in those different stages of life. But like being able to have that one place where you can trust that doctor knows what's going on is really awesome for families, I think, with multiple generations.
Yeah, I think, to me, it makes perfect sense. Again, because a lot of times at my age, my mom didn't share anything. Like she talked about, I know she had an ectopic pregnancy, but I honestly don't really know how her pregnancies went. Yeah. But it was interesting with my sister because with her first, her water broke. She did not naturally go into labor. My water broke. I did not. We both had to have it induced, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, wow, I bet my mom did too. But we really didn't talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You know, so now I
yeah.
think it's, even if it's on your side where you're keeping that information, it's so valuable.
Totally, totally. Yeah, context is everything, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So we always finish out with what we call final kick, just a couple of questions. So what is your favorite post-workout snack?
So I am a peanut butter fiend. Have you ever had Teddy's peanut butter before?
I love Teddy's.
Oh my gosh.
Teddy's crunchy.
Yeah, yes, Teddy's
Okay,
crunchy.
good.
I buy it by like the case full because we are like peanut butter fiends in our house. So I love anything with peanut butter, usually with like a banana post workout.
Okay,
like
so I have to ask you, as a medical practitioner, did you have peanut butter when you were pregnant, and when did you give peanut butter to your kids?
Yes, I did have peanut butter when I was pregnant.
Me
I think
too.
it's like a food group in my life. And
Yes,
then
good. I'm with you.
they're actually recommending now for peanut butter introduction early and often. So I know there's a lot of concerns about peanut butter allergies.
I think that's why there were so many allergies, is because kids weren't introduced to it.
Yeah, definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
good.
So my
I did
kids
the same.
are part of the peanut butter family.
Yes, yeah, and so are mine. Like I was like, I don't care, you're having peanut butter, I'm having peanut butter. We're not getting away from peanut butter. The only thing I found, I couldn't have a lot of chocolate with the older one.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, but
Heartburn
he
or
No, when I was nursing,
oh,
he did not like it. But working out was fine. Like I could work out. You know, sometimes they'll say that the babies don't like the milk after you work out.
Yeah.
I can do that. But he did not love chocolate. So, you know.
Does he like chocolate now though?
He does like chocolate now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We'll have to do a study.
I know. I think there's like all kinds of interesting stuff like that. Your favorite way to recover. So as you're getting back into it, like, right, you gotta like, ooh, okay, I gotta recover now.
Totally. I love a good like stretch session. I love my foam roller. I've got like my massage gun, but I think my favorite thing to do just to like wind down and recover my body is to go on walks with my family.
Nice. Oh, that's perfect.
Especially
that's such a good answer. And you got to enjoy those kids as long as you can, because then all of a sudden they're out of the house and they're gone and you miss them terribly.
Oh, I make my oldest promise that he's going to stay sweet forever, every single night.
Well, then I've made a pact with my younger one, because I had to carry him for so long because he had terrible muscle tone. So he liked to be carried, but he wouldn't like grab you with his legs. Like he didn't just, hold. So you were holding him. It was like dead weight. So I told him, because I carried him so much, he has to take care of me in old age.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, doesn't usually happen with boys, but we're going to change it with our boys. Your favorite workout or your favorite place to work out?
I think there's so many great places to run in the Capital Region. So I live in Clifton Park, so I love going to Visscher's Ferry to run there. But I used to live in Slingerlands, and like Five Rivers and the Pine Bush were like my favorite places to go. Lately, I've been doing more Orange Theory workouts just because it's kind of nice and quick, and I've been trying to get more into strength training. But we have some gems in the Capital Region. It
is a great place that I think a lot of people don't realize, like how many good parks there are and how many places there are, that are just fun to go hike or run or walk.
Totally.
How should people get in touch with you?
So I'm on Instagram, meghanmonthiemd. You can find me there. You can also connect to my website, heirloomfamilymed.com. And yeah, come connect with me. Come say hi. Come learn about this new kind of primary care. I think it works for a lot of women and families.
Yes, I mean, I do. I think it's an incredible model and absolutely fantastic. So I thank you so much for coming over today and talking about it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So what you do next matters most. Let's all get out there and get fitter.